Good morning. Sorry I didn't come online yesterday. I had to go to uni. But I'm here and we get to do some cool stuff today. I'm actually wondering what to do. Uh, I have a pretty cool idea. I might do some artwork today because I need to do more voice work for the scratch track, which I'm not prepared to do for 2 hours because the rest of it's pretty dialogue heavy. So what we're gonna do is hey, how you doing? Welcome. Thank you for joining. What we're gonna do, I think I might do some fun character stuff. This is from a different thing. This is going to be a little preview. This is a little preview of what the next this is a little preview of what the next character building series will be about. We're using this character. Good morning, everyone. Cheers. Thanks for being here. Sorry, a little bit late, by the way. I had to make a coffee. All right. So, I got a picture from a friend that is pretty cool. So I'm actually going to use that. I'm going to make a cool little face today, I think. Let me just put this to my computer. Boom. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think I will probably check out 4 point, no, just the 4, Blender 4 before I do anything render wise, because there's some really important stuff with color grading that is changing as well. So I need to do some research on that. Cool. So I've got this picture. It's completely like, it's just a picture from a picture. So I thought the eyes were cool. I like the shape of the face, and I thought it'd be cool to do the hair as well. So I really want to try and do this and see if I can do it in 2 hours. I don't know if I can. I know, right? Great time to look at some work getting done. Sweet. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try and get this one sorted. Uh, Good morning. So this is an unrelated thing. This is going to be for an actual tutorial series, just a little preview of the character that I'm working on. Before I get started though, I want to give out some cool shout outs because some of my patrons have done some cool work and I want to show it. So the first one's coming from Akai Studios, and I can't share the sound on my computer for some reason at the moment, but I really suggest you guys check it out. It's really cool little style, really well animated as well. It's got this really nice stepped animation feel to it. It's super cool. It looks really handcrafted. It's really short, it's just a little thing, but like it's just cool style, and I thought it'd be worth checking out, showing you guys. So it's super cool. I love the chair. The chair is obviously like a plane with some like brushstroke. It's just smart, smart. The other thing comes from J Hansen Art. They've been doing some experiments in 3D. I might just show you that as well. All kinds of stuff. I really like this one here. Apparently it's 3D. He said it was 3D. And this is cool, like sort of stylized rendering sort of tests, which is really cool. Also, the spider's really sick as well. But yeah, if you guys want anything that should be shouted out during the streams, message me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Yeah, shout outs. As long as it's safe for work, obviously. But yes, cool. Let's jump in. Let's just go into Blender and try and make something cool in 2 hours. I am still working on the film, obviously, outside of the stream. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to really touch on it too much today. I'm also wanted to use the tablet because it's just been sitting there for a few streams and not much has been going on with it. So I show you my technique. Okay. So yeah, we got this picture, and I'm not even going to bother making a fancy file setup or anything like that. I'm just going to drag it right in. Boom. And all I would need to do to keep it in the file is pack it. If I can. I think I can pack it. Yeah, there we go. Pack that in. And now I don't have to worry about anything regarding that. So I'm just going to put that over here. it's not even going to be all that useful for me to use as reference. I'm just going to put it there to just sort of work with the shapes. Now, I'm not going to use the base mesh here for this. I'm just going to just do it for fun. So let's have a go. If you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. How am I finding the Mac for Blender? I kind of want one, but the allure of rendering with script. Yes, the GPU is its Achilles heel. I will say that. That's my only gripe, is that the rendering, even in like just using the GPU for cycles, is pretty much, I would say, not broken, but it's slow even just to compile the shaders. And you basically have to rely on the CPU 100% of the time. So I would say if you plan on getting a PC, or you plan on upgrading your computer to specifically render most of the time, then don't get the Mac. All right. If 90%, which is the case with me, 90% of my work doesn't rely on rendering, then it's fucking awesome. Now, I'm not going to say to you to spend Apple money on a computer. It really depends on what you're going to do. And yeah, I would say for me, for my personal workflow at the moment, the Mac is great. That being said, I do wish I had a GPU. Okay, I do wish I had a GPU that was functionally sound. That's my biggest, I guess, miss. I guess you can say. That's the thing I miss the most. But because it's so small, it's just so small over there in the on my desk, and so quiet, and just doesn't heat up my room at all, which is great because summer's coming for me. Then I have to tell myself, yeah, this is pretty sick. It's pretty awesome to have. Yeah. No worries, dude. All right, so the face is actually kind of in the right size. Like this cube is in the right size. So I'm just gonna scale that just a little bit like that. I'm gonna save that. And I'm just gonna go straight into sculpt mode. I'm actually going to go to my modifier. Click over here to wireframe. I'm gonna bring the wireframe opacity right down, and then add a remesh straight away. Let's just add some detail straight away. I'm not too fussed at the moment, so that will be fine. Remesh, and then I'm just gonna save that. All right, I'm gonna go to my tablet because there's one bug with XP Pen, at least with my setup, is that it defaults to my main screen every time I reset the computer. So let's just go ahead and put that over here, and we should be good to go. Yes, I am using an M2 Ultra. Yes, the Apple M2 is also my GPU. That is true. So like when I wonder, the funny thing with the rendering of the CPU with the Apple is that it doesn't feel much different to working on the GPU, which is cool. That's my biggest thing to say, is that it doesn't feel like it's any different. That being said, it would be a lot slower on a benchmark, but I don't feel like my workflow has been affected all that much by it, especially when you're using Eevee. It's kind of indistinguishable. All right, let's go ahead and just put one on there. Let's just put it on my documents. Actually, no. Let's put this on my thingo. Let's see. Sorry. 2023. Oops. I'll put it there. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and start sculpting. And by the way, as I mentioned always, this will actually probably end up on the Patreon Dropbox, so you can see how I sculpted it, all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Also, memberships are open on YouTube. Currently working on some cool content for that as well. But yeah, if you feel like you want to support the channel, even if you want to support the channel with what I do and what I publish publicly, that goes a long way. So really appreciate that if you end up choosing to do that. All right, cool. So let's add mirroring. Let's go to this brush here. Where is it? My favorite brush is the scrape tool. Love it. So it's going to go ahead and just start to scrape the shape. So already that shape is coming in pretty cool. Let's go ahead and scrape, 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 scrape. So I'm just going to scrape in the skull now. And again, please feel free to ask anything you like as I'm doing this. So the reason I have one window open like far away and one close up is that it's almost like a Photoshop navigator. It's like just gives me a bird's eye view of what I'm doing and how I can sort of make it a little bit better. Cool, that's looking pretty cool. And then let's just try and round the entire thing out. Hello, can you have a suggestion video for the future? If you want, what do you mean by, do you want to suggest a video? Then yeah, you can suggest anything you like. Go ahead. What do you got in mind? All right, cool. So we got that going on there. Obviously, these sides are a little bit harsh, so it's gonna really cut that in. Okay, where are we going? There we go. Further, further, further. Yeah, a bunch of stuff actually. I was reading about the new rigging stuff. So I was actually planning on doing a full-blown new character rigging series like this month, but after reading about the updates that are coming with the rigging toolset in Blender, I am going to wait till 4.0 for that one. I'm really excited about those changes because they are just going to make things so much nicer to use. Even if you just never rigged before, I think it's going to be an absolute, yeah, just awesome. Unfortunately, no rigging armature nodes, but you know that you can't win everything. But it's looking really promising, like the kind of additions that come from that, which are really cool. So collections are coming to rigging, which is awesome. That's the biggest thing for me. So rig collections, so cool. They're going to replace the layers. Yes, we can give names to layers basically. Colors as well are going to be a lot easier to manage, like rig colors, like control colors. Little quality of life stuff that has been sorely missing from Blender for a long time. So I'm really glad they're sort of starting to focus that on the rigging tool set again. The other stuff is to do with like rendering, so they're changing the standards for rendering, like as in like the color space. So one of the biggest problems with Blender when you're using After Effects is the color space has to be using Blender's own open color IO. So I'm hoping that it's using a more standardized color space going forward. Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And the Rigify toolset as well is going to be given an update too. So I'm actually very tempted that going if it's hard to say because if I don't know when the 4.0 is coming out because I really want to get my film done by the end of the year. So in that case, I'd probably either use the alpha or the beta of, which is crazy to animate with, or I could use the current version and then just sort of worry about the third film to use 4.0 and build my rigging series. So that's the plan for that. Can you show us how to edit multiple animations and keep them organized without distortion? That is in the cards. That is actually very much in the cards very soon, hopefully. Because I'm going to be animating very intense scenes going forward in my short film. So I really want to talk about editing animation tracks because it's pretty average in Blender, to be honest. It's pretty horrible, but we can make it work. So that being said, if everyone could afford, or not afford, but if Blender had the feature set that say Motion Builder had for snapping animations, oof, that would be so much easier. Okay, so here we go. We're getting there with the shape, which is nice to see, that basic shape. All right. I'm not going to worry about the contours at the front just yet. Yeah, AGX is looking really cool. Yeah, I know a lot of people are complaining about the changes in the Blender 4.0 API for plugins, but like the dumb thing is that they announced it over 6 months to 9 months earlier before the bloody release. Like, how often do you get that with a dev cycle to tell you, okay, here's the changes. Just so you know, you have 9 months or so to update your add-ons, and that's a lot of time to update your APIs. You know, in my opinion, it's like, and they just got all shitty about it on Twitter. It's like, well, welcome to the world of whatever you do. You know, it's just like, come on, man. Quick question. In your animation project, where did you get that rig? I've seen someone else use the same rig. I wonder where I can get it. It's a plugin. So let me show you with a new window. So it's an Adobe plugin. So just go the Adobe, just look up Adobe, oh no, look up Substance Mixamo add-on, and you'll see it on the Adobe website for free. Yeah, that's cool. And if you go to, let me just open up import a file. Mixamo, left turn. So here's a rig for another character I've been working on. Oh, that doesn't look great, but this is from Mixamo, and the plugin basically auto generates the control rig for you. And now you can see here, if I turn on all the bones, it basically allows you to control the animation now. Like so, it's one click. It's like literally a one-click solution. It's so good. It's so good to have that when you're working in such a tight deadline. But yeah, that's the plugin. All right, cool. So we got this shape going on. My day job is in motion graphics, and people always talk about how C4D is the industry standard. Do you reckon that there's any reason to learn? Yes, marvelous design. Yeah. So if you're doing motion graphics, there's a bunch of reasons why C4D is the standard. Like this, the go-to app when it comes to animation and motion graphics. The big reason is that it integrates really, really well inside of After Effects. So if you're doing really complex animation in Cinema 4D, it's the only format that really can support a lot of the stuff that Cinema 4D can do without losing fidelity, if that makes sense. So that's a really important one, because if you want to render it in 3D, render like something in After Effects using your 3D models, Cinema 4D kind of is, well, with caveats. I've done a lot with it with Blender and a few plugins with in recent months, but it's not the same. It's nowhere near the same as Cinema 4D. The other thing is that Cinema 4D is really easy to learn how to do. It's really easy to generate geometry and generate patterns and generate cool stuff like that. That again, Blender has no chance of competing with in terms of speed, in terms of like doing that fast. I mean, geometry nodes will make that possible once you can download different kinds of GeoNode setups, but it's just not as intuitive than Cinema 4D. The other thing is that like Cinema 4D will have better simulation stuff and out of the box. It's constantly being updated as well in that regard too, which is cool. So yeah, again, a bunch of reasons why Cinema 4D is really, really useful. And of course, it comes with Redshift if you buy the full package. And Redshift is one of the best render engines you can get for GPU rendering. So if you have like a NVIDIA card, it flies. It's so good. It's one of my favorite renderers. I wish I could. I think I can get it for Blender now, but it's one of the most versatile, easy to use renderers that give you really good results really quickly, and it is definitely better than Cycles in every regard, pretty much, I'd say. So those are the reasons why you go down the Cinema 4D route. Um, if you're doing a lot of character design that's going to be integrated into your motion graphics, then you still probably may consider using Blender. Cinema 4D's regging tools are pretty crap. Yes, that's also true. That's also true. Yeah, motion graphics is a different beast than a lot of what I talk about. Storyboarding is really cool as well. Okay, in your animation project, where'd you get the rig? That's all good. I have an ant, and we started making animations, which is idling and walking. At some points, we do not know exactly which standards to use and which message we should flow. Um, yeah, I mean, like, it really depends on, like, once you finish your storyboard, you'll understand what you will need from the rig. And once you understand what you need from the rig, then you can make that judgment call. All right, cool. Let's cut out the jawline. Let's just go like this. So I just want to cut out that part for the jaw and the ear. Now, I will cheat probably with the asset pack to do the ear because I don't have the time or the energy to do that. But that's all good. All right. Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry. I was going to do animatics and then I changed my mind. But that's all right. I can't really change it at this point, I don't think, halfway through. So that's okay. That's okay. I'll live. And I'll change the title after the stream finishes. All right, cool. Where's my scrape? Scrapey scrape. Come on, let me scrape. Is it scraping? Yeah, it's scraping. Cool. So here we go. I'm going to extrude out the neck in a moment, but not quite yet. All right, cool. Yeah, I realized that when I started the stream that I didn't have any voice work left to animate to, so I need to do that myself. All right, so we got that sort of base to work with. Oops, let's add a little bit more mass on the back of that skull. There we go. And I think that will do for now. Save. Now, with the eyes, I'm going to cut out the eye sockets. I'm going to add the bridge for the nose and then add a clef for the lips to go forward. So starting from here, let's grab the scrape brush. This one, sorry, the clay strips. And I'm going to just start to cut away a little bit of that area there. So just cut away the inside of the eye socket. And this will automatically generate the mass needed for the cheek. So now I can start to smooth that out. And now we have that mass for that cheek area. All right, and we're going to smooth this out too. All right, going forward. All right. Now we can add a little bit of a bridge. Now, depending on the nose, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit because I want it to keep kind of simple. Let's just make sure that's not too crazy additions. because I will probably take away some of that mass going forward. And I have to remove some mass here in the bridge as well. So the bridge is going to be coming in a little bit too. Okay, cool. We can add some more cheek down the line. Notice how I'm following the contours of the face, even in the sculpt. All right. Cool. So that's cool. Let's go ahead and add some softness over here, because that's now going to be the side of the face, so we don't need to have that such a strong edge there, I don't think. All right, cool. Going in. All right. Now let's go ahead. Yeah, it's still called 3D animatics. It's all right though. That's fine. Cool. Let's just add a little bit of mass for the front now. Let's just see what we can do. Now, what I would do here is just go to the side view and start to pull. Maybe try and pull that face a little bit forward like so. And then bring the cheek back in. Oh, the chin, sorry, the chin back in. Okay. All right, so we're getting there. I'm losing a little bit of definition there in the jawline, but that's okay. We can fix that later. So I'm kind of want to keep that definition in there too. So let's just start to smooth out that whole cheek area first. Oh, good. I'm glad you're finding it useful. So you always want to do it in components, I guess you can say. You want to see what components of the face you want to emphasize and which parts you want to keep soft, or which parts you want to keep hard. So for me, I want to keep the eye. I want to have that shape in the eye really, really strongly. So next thing I'm going to do is start to break down the lips a little bit. So let's put this brush here. I always forget which one it is. The Draw Sharp brush. Now there's not going to be enough information here to do full on lips. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put a little line as to where that lip will go. All right, there we go. That will be my sort of, yeah, that looks kind of nice, that shape. I think that works well. All right, cool. So now let's keep adding a little bit more of a scrape in the eyes here. And start to sort of really contour that area a little bit more. Now let's get to this stage where, yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Let's get to this stage where I will probably have to add some more geometry, but also I'll have to add some eyeballs into the mix to sort of get that shape in there. So that's looking pretty good from the back. All right. Now I do want to add a little bit more of a nose, so I'm going to add a bit more structure there. But it's meant to be a kind of a button nose anyway. But as long as there's enough of a structure there to sort of blend into the bridge of the nose, I'm happy. There we go. That's looking pretty nice. Oh yeah, I'm talking about it. Yeah, it's all good. And I appreciate the kind comments so far. So here we go. Really cool. And all right, so let's go ahead and add some eyeballs. And I could probably put it on random colors as well, just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and rename that. The color always changes depending on the letters you use. See, sometimes it just changes color if you rename something. Didn't do it this time though. All right, so with this eyeball, it's going to go to, I'm going to make it smaller while it's in the center of the world. Move it across, and I'm going to go ahead and add inside the tool. Let's go edit, auto mirror. There we go. Let's bring that forward. Let's scale it down a little bit, obviously, and bring it forward. And let's just see where they're going to sit. Now they're obviously way too far forward. So I'm going to get those in like so. That looks about right. Now we also got this issue where the head looks a little bit squished. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Again, I'm going to be doing my call to actions all the time now, I think. If you want to support the channel, please either drop a super chat, super like, ask a question, do whatever you want. Any amount will go a long way, because I'm trying to make this a viable thing. All right, cool. So we got the eyes in there. That's looking cool. All right, so we got that going on. Let's go ahead and move on to the head of the front of the head. Let's add a little bit more mass in the sculpt. Let's add a little bit mass there, and also just smooth out the skull on the sides as well. So a little bit more mass at the front. Like so. All right, cool. All right, there we are. I think that will do for now. All right, so what I want to try and focus on now is going to be the eyes, and I'm going to need some more geometry here. So I have two options. I can use the Dyn Topo, which is basically going to generate geometry for me as I paint, or I can just bring up the resolution on my voxelized mesh here. I'm going to go with the latter because it just performs better. So I'm just going to go to my, where is it? Let's go to remesh and just bring that down. Just enough to give it some more geometry. There we go. I think that should be enough. I'm just going to push apply. Yeah, you don't want to not do a storyboard. That's for sure. Okay, so now my reference is starting to get a little bit in the way of my image. So what I want to do is just bring down the opacity a little bit more so I can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, cool. Jump back into sculpt mode. Let's start to add some eyelids. Now with the eyelids, I could do the half circle thing. I'm just going to just sculpt them in this case. Now let's just see how these shapes are going to go. I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure I trace that shape first before I start to line up the eyeball. All right, cool. So this is where my eye should be fitting. Is it okay to skip storyboarding and do 3D animatics? No, it's not. It's not really. Unless you're just doing animation tests and you have reference and you just want to do like a jump or something, then you don't really need an animatic. But anything that's story based or needs to tell a message, you need to do a storyboard. Now in this case, I actually might go down the Dyn Topo route because it just might be a little bit easier than constantly regenerating stuff. So I'm going to bring down the resolution to maybe 3 or 5. Let's try that. And just see how we go. That's fine. Sweet. In this view, I can turn off the wireframe, by the way. I can probably turn it off overall. That's a bit easier to look at. Cool. So once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that out a little bit. Okay, we're getting there. Still looking a little bit flat on the overall sort of spectrum of the eyes, but we're getting there. And I'll probably have to widen out the face now. So I'm going to add some more geometry on the cheeks, going onto the side of the head. So add some more geometry there. So just on that cliff of the side of the face there. Just going to add some more. There we go. Now I'm not too worried about the bumpiness that comes through when doing this, because I'll always refine it after the fact anyway. All right, cool. And now I'm going to try and, firstly, I'm going to bring over here, blob. Let's just go ahead and just push some of that into its nook. So I can also isolate that and just see what I'm doing a little bit better. It looks a bit creepy without the eyes, but let's just get that in there. There we go. Just something like that I can work with and fit the eyeball in there. Okay, so now I shouldn't have to do this right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's add a little bit of a pinch just to shape that out a little bit. Just tell myself that this is the good part. This is the good shape that I want to keep. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. It's gone down a little bit already just by doing that. You can see how the eye has sort of shifted a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and just lift that up a little bit. Now I'm going to actually try and see if I can change the title midstream. I don't think I can, but let's try it out. All right, hold on. Customization, I can. All right, cool. Wait, that's the old one. My bad. Let's see. I also want to see the chat, see if I'm not missing anything. Here we go. All right, cool. Let's see. I don't know. Analytics, no. Edit video. I can. That's cool. See if this. Ask me. Let me know if this changes. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Did that change it? I can only assume it may have. It should have. Yeah, it did change. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. That's good to know. All right, cool. So we still got like at least an hour to go. So there's plenty of time to get through this as much as I can. So let's go ahead and bring back the eyes and see what we can do about fitting these into the skull. Thanks for letting me know. It also lets me know that it's the chat's working as well. What placement would you say poly count with this? Oh, this is just this is just a sculpt poly count. So like, um, I wouldn't consider this to be anything other than just, yeah, it could end up being millions of polys basically if I was to be really weird about like really going into the detail there. Okay, so I just want to move the eyes a little bit that way. And you can see it's sort of lining up with the pupil there. All right, so now jumping into the sculpt mode, you can see that the inside of the eye is way too far forward and the outside of the eye is way too far back. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab the soft select brush and sort of push the corner of the eye into the right position, and then pull this part of the eye forward. Now you can see this is where all the bumps and bruises and stuff comes into play. You got to sort of contour the eye, the eyelid around that. And that will do for now. How's that look? And you can see it changes the eye so quickly. All right. But that shape is really important, I think, for this sculpt. All right, cool. I'm using I'm using a mouse just to push it because sometimes I just like the precision of using the mouse. So I tend to jump between back and forth. All right, cool. That's looking really alien-like now, but we'll get there. We'll fix it up in the right amount of time. The other thing is that what I can do to give this a little bit more structure is just scaling the eye flat. So basically, I'll just do this. Sorry, why? Do this so I can get that sort of anime flatter face look. So basically, the eye's going to be flatter and less realistic, but you can do this with lattices as well, and that will help me sort of keep the face relatively flat. But just be aware that if you do it this way, you'll have to remodel the eyes with a lattice in the future, so you won't be able to animate with these eyes very easily. All right, let's bring that forward now. So now I just want to get rid of that weird cleft in the eyelid there. That's why it's too far back. So I just want to give that cliff a little bit more. There we go, that looks better. There we go. I think that will do for now. You said that you were lecturing, you probably finished a bachelor in subject. I'm about to start my 3. I'm going to make a big video. That's going to come out today about university. So it's going to be a big chunky video about university and why you may potentially want to try and do a university course in, well, anything, honestly. But specifically to do with animation and where the advantages and disadvantages lie, obviously. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. That's going to be a big video. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I love gacha, but I'm not. What did I say? I gotcha. What? A gacha tuber. Thank you. Cheers. I'm trying to model it through sculpting for the first time. I hate doing the eyes. Yeah, the eyes are always the hard part. Haven't been able to find the Retopology videos, and yeah. Yeah, there's a lot from me as well. You should check out my videos on that subject. All right, so I'm just going to fix up this eye here. Bring it back up. Bring it forward. Just keeping it on model if I can. Making sure to save along the way. That's the other thing, by the way. If you're considering a Mac, just note that the Blender on the Mac is a little bit less stable than on the Windows, in my opinion. All right, cool. I'll tighten up the corners after the fact. All right, cool. Let's just jump back into sculpting. So I'm just going to go ahead and just I'm going to keep the thickness of the eyelids, but I'm just going to fix up the depth here. So just going to cut through that a little bit, and I'll smooth that out. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and tighten that up again. Where is it? There we go. Now with me, when I sculpt characters and stuff like this, it's always like a process depending on the character. I may do this later, I may do this now. It doesn't, there's no set way for me to actually design these sort of things. I just sort of work with the model at hand and then sort of to make decisions as I go. Okay, sweet. Let's add some extra cheek. So let's bring that some cheek back. So I'm going to add some more cheek there, just to give it a little bit more structure. Add that fat back into the cheeks. All right, and then smooth that out. You see how that makes a big difference? Just bringing that structure back in, that skin, that mass back into the face. Suddenly it looks a little less alien-esque. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more down here. And then smooth that out after again. So notice how we get this really deep cut there. So you can probably get the cheek to come up pretty tightly on that corner there. That's going to be the eyelid anyway. So what I'm going to do is just bring that up like that. And then I'll add a little crease there at the bottom of the eyelid there. All right, cool. Now what I'm going to do as well is get some extra creasing going on in the eyelid at the top, because it looks like in the image it might be a pretty tight eyelid. What's my background in 3D? So I've worked mostly in advertising, animations, and sort of documentary style work. So my first animation, well, my first job as an animator, not necessarily 3D, was in medical animations, like animating medical stuff, like conditions and all that sort of thing. And then once I went to freelancing, I did a few game design stuff, like game character stuff, game animation, concept art for like video games. And when I say video games, I'm talking about like mobile games, because at the time Australia's game industry was pretty horrid. Still is, to be honest. And then after that, I got into motion graphics, I guess you can say. Not necessarily motion graphics, but I worked at a motion graphics studio where I did a lot of the character-based stuff. I was hired as a character designer to do advertisements for them. So that was really fun. And then I started doing freelancing and teaching. That looking a lot better. Don't you reckon? That's looking pretty cool. So what I want to do now is, here is that you can see that the eyes are raised. So I'm actually going to go into ahead and add a little bit of a cliff in there and sort of really emphasize that shape. So I'm going to really dig into the eyes here and then build that shelf or the eyebrow. Now I wouldn't like do this necessarily for an animation ready face, but I'm going to retopo it with that in mind anyway, because maybe it could be like a nice little thing to try. I'm actually curious if it would animate all right. So just going into the cliff there, and then I'll go ahead and smooth it as is. I'm going to add a little more of a bridge into the nose. Yeah, cool. All right, sweet. So now we can go ahead and just sort of soften that out. I don't want to do it too much. I want to keep that sharpness, because I'm going to go ahead and sharpen that up in the sculpt. I just want to keep that in there. That's cool. Yeah, nice. So it's going to be a bit more stylized in that regard. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the pinch brush. I'm going to start to pinch the geometry to give it that sharpness that I want. Cool. You can see here that already I'm losing mass just by pinching it. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some more. I really want to get that shelf in there. All right, cool. Let's pinch that again. And if it's still not pinching enough, I would start to remove volume here. And then you can start to see, oh yeah, there's some more. That's looking pretty good. Now that's looking pretty odd overall, but it's, you know, it's coming up. It's coming out good. All right. Let's have a look at the side. Yeah, it's looking not bad, not bad. Let's just soften out those shapes now here. Now we're going to sharpen that up a little bit down here. So I'm going to grab my pull brush and just sort of see how I can, oh, wrong one. Pull, pinch. Let's go here and just sort of pinch out the corners. I sort of try and do what I can here to really get them pretty close. And again, I manipulate this after the fact as well. All right, cool. All right, that's looking pretty cool. Let's worry about that for now. I'll do the rest later. But for now, I think that's looking pretty nice. And I might even just go ahead and just see what happens if I smooth this out. I'm just curious about how that would look. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. All right. I'm also going to add a little bit of a pinch at the bottom here. Oh, shit. And I can do this also with a draw sharp, just sort of sharpen out that and then sort of pinch it after the fact. All right. Let's go ahead and use the scrape tool to scrape out that bottom lid. And then we'll soften that out. All right, cool. What do you guys think so far? Let me know. Keep the chat rolling. Is there any questions you guys have as well? Feel free to ask again. Always happy to answer. All right, cool. So we got this going on. Let's go ahead and just start to pinch that in. Now this might not necessarily be permanent, but it just keeps me functionally in like aware of the masses that I want to keep here. This person has actual nostrils, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to add those. I always do the lips last because I find them to be the most difficult. All right, cool. And here, obviously, I want to make sure this is nice and tight as well. Going into that, let's go ahead and add a little thing there. It all looks like magic. Cheers. Looks fine. That's cool. And it's all about just working on little parts first. All right, cool. Yeah, It will depend on the shaders as well, and the lighting will make a big difference as well if I get to that stage. So let's go ahead and just add the nostrils. Nostrils go this way. That will do for the nostrils for the time being. Let's soften that out. All right, cool. Add a little bit of skin here. Cool. That'll work well. Obviously, you have to go around all angles and see where the problems lie. You can see here that their head's not round enough. So let's add a little bit more mass around the head. Cool. And then soften that out. It's always it's about push and pull, honestly, what he's doing these sort of sculpts. Just seeing what works, what doesn't. That looks a little bit better. And of course, this is going to look even smoother still once we retopo it. I don't know if I'll retopo it today, but we can do it tomorrow. All right, cool. So now, what I want to start off with is just the mouth. I'm going to do that by pulling the corners of the mouth that I've blocked out over here. Just going to pull them back. Automatically, I start to get the right kind of mass. I need to get the cheek in there. Like so. Now that's looking a little bit too crazy, but it will do. I can smooth that out after. And of course, that mass there, I can just soften now. I'm also going to start to cut away some of that bottom lip, underneath the bottom lip, underneath, so I can get the chin in there. All right, let's see what we got there. Now that looks a bit creepy, but don't you worry, it will come in. All right. I'm going to add back some mass as well. All right, cool. Push and pull, push and pull. All right. All right. So now I can start to think about doing the lips. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and make sure that I'm getting the right shape in there. So starting from there. Let's see how it's looking. Not bad. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of geometry here. Smooth it out, add a little bit, smooth it out. And then I have to remove some geometry here. Smooth it out. Okay, I can probably get rid of the wireframe here now too. All right, cool, we're getting there. I'm gonna push the lips forward now, of course, because it's looking a little bit too pursed. I can add a little bit more geometry here first as well. Just in general terms, just add a little bit more mass back into the lips there. Add a little bit more structure there. All right, cool. We're getting there. All right. I actually don't mind the shape on the side. I actually don't mind the shape there. So what I'm going to do is, fix the lip on the front, push that one forward. So now I'm going to add some mass there. Now, this is why it's good to have two views. This is why I like using Blender over ZBrush, is that I can have two views and see just how much I'm adding. and if I'm adding too much. Okay, cool. Oh, no worries. Thank you. No worries. It's my pleasure. It's such a cool little animation. All right. Let's tighten up that area. Save that. Let's just get those shapes now looking all right. I think that's looking about right. Let's just hide away the cube just for a second. Not bad. Looking a bit sad in this one, so I'm just gonna increase the I'm gonna twist it a little bit, twist the corners of the mouth a little bit to give it a little bit more of that sort of happier expression. And that looks a little bit more a little bit more chipper. All right, cool. All right, I think that's working so far. Now it's time to clean up the mouth a little bit. I mean the underside of the nose, and it's a bit low. The mouth is a bit low at this point now, I reckon, or the nose is a bit high. So what I'm going to do is just grab the soft brush there and just squish it down a little bit. The nose is a little bit looking a bit crooked now, but that's okay. We can fix that. And grab the scrape brush now. Where are we? Yep. And start to fix that up. You can see here I've lost a little bit of mass in the nose there. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more to shape that out a little bit better. There we go. And then soften. That's looking a little bit better now. All right, so let's grab the crease brush, and I'm just going to start to get the creases going on in the nose. Hello, welcome to the stream, Sketchy Squirrel. All right, cool. So we got that going on there. That looks looking pretty nice. I can soften that out a little bit. And now the sort of the end of the nose, I might just add a little bit less geometry, or just compress that a little bit more here, going into the bridge. Now, just be mindful, this is not a realistic sculpt by any means. So now I need to just be mindful of that, not to go too far into the realism realm. This is one of the biggest challenges with sculpting, in my opinion, is just like you get tempted to just add detail when your original idea didn't have it. All right, so adding some fat back into the cheeks, giving that a more youthful look. There we go. And now we're getting there. All right. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do now is turn off Done Topo and just manipulate some of these proportions a little bit. See what works and what doesn't. And that's looking a lot nicer already, in my opinion. Maybe the reason why Sculpt looks alien is because Sketch has really big eyes. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, it's also just about like reining in detail. So what I'm doing is just sort of working with what I've got to sort of emphasize different things. It's sort of like using a character creator now. So do I want to have it overbite, or do I want to have it to sort of push out? Let's have a look. And just by doing that, you start to see things start to look a little bit more natural. Oh, thank you. All right, so now what I'm trying to do is get this sort of, let me just grab the grease pencil. Is that the grease pencil? Paint, grease pencil. What I'm trying to do is sort of see if I can get this sort of shape going on in the skull, like that. And then what you can do afterwards is sort of the classic sort of Disney shelf. You can kind of do that as well. So it's sort of like adding that bit of a snoutiness to it will help sort of maintain a sort of balance, I guess you can say. And I think that's looking all right. I like that quite a bit. So now what we need to do is push the nose back a little bit on the corners. Not bad for an hour and a half of work, I will say. So now what I'm going to do is like, this is one of the things that a lot of people have issues with when they're sculpting, is that they sculpt the front of the face too flat. And what you end up getting is a really flat looking face. Just remember that there is shape around everything you do. All right, cool. Now there's plenty of geometry to work with here, so I'm not going to bother with Dine Topo. I'm just going to work with what I've added here so far. And it's starting to get a bit chunky anyway. Like the performance, I can feel it starting to lag. Is just chip away at those sort of overall details. And add volume where I need to, remove it where I don't need it. So what I'm going to do is, for instance, here, it's a kind of a mix between both, where I want to add volume here without it looking old. So I'm just going to add a little bit of volume here, remove a little bit here. How do you keep consistency across the project in terms of art style? I have so many cartoony character, but every time I looked, but environment looked too realistic and didn't work. What do you do to make it work? You have to sort of just do studies. I guess you can say studies on what the aesthetic is in mind. So mood boarding, finding references of a stylized environment to match your stylized characters, and you have to treat it in the same level of detail as you treat your characters. Now, one of the biggest things, of course, is that characters are just more fun to do for many people. So how do you make it fun to sort of study the environments? Now, all I would say is look into like just investigate um, art books, like in sort of cartoony shows, and see how they've designed their environments and what their intentions were. That's looking pretty good. The mouth is looking a lot better now. Yeah, that's my suggestion there. So what I'm going to do now is sort of start to match the shape of the chin and the face and all sorts of stuff now, because it's looking pretty good in my opinion, pretty close. All right, so all I need to do is rein in the jawline and see where we go from there. Oh shit, Don Topo turns on all the time. What's going on? Yeah, I'm not doing animatic right now. I need to do some more voice, so I might jump into that on Wednesday. Back into that on Wednesday. And I got some. Hopefully, I got some big news coming up as well regarding how I'm going to animate the shots as well. I think it's going to be really cool. So yeah, looking forward to announcing that. We'll see what happens. But I need to make sure it's confirmed before I do. All right. All right. So there we go. I think that's looking pretty close. I'm keeping the chin rounded here as well because it just looks a bit nicer. Now, what I could do I want to make this go into stylistic mode 100% and sort of carve out the chin or the cheeks? So I could just carve out some of the cheeks like that. Actually, that's kind of cool. I might do that. So carve out some of the cheek to give it a sort of sculpted effect. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Charles Joshi. Oh, no worries. My pleasure. Really appreciate it. And I enjoy the process as well. I enjoy talking about it. All right, cool. Let's sharpen up that jawline. And there we go. Jawline sharpened. So she's looking a bit robotic now, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that look. So she's looking a bit more sculpted now. What do you guys think so far? Looking pretty cool? I think that's looking pretty good so far. All right. Now again, I'm not going to worry too much about the ears because one, it's not covered by not showing in the face, but two, I'm going to use the asset library to fill those in because what's the point otherwise? All right. So now what I really want to do is rein in those eyes, make sure they're looking really schmick before I jump into Retopo. I'm not going to do the eyelashes as part of the script. That's the thing. Oh, thank you for the membership, Bookie. Really appreciate that. Awesome. Yeah, I've got some cool stuff coming up that will come as a timed exclusive on the membership. So really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we got that going on. I'm not going to worry about the thickness of the face there. I think that's looking pretty close. Why are comments not showing up in chat? They are now. I'm not sure. It could have been. I'm not sure if they're being auto moderated or anything like that. But yeah, they're working now. Keineken, thank you. Am I Steve Dicko? No, I'm not Steve Dicko. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do now is start to rein in, because now I'm starting to get this aesthetic going on that I think is cool. Let's start to rein in that effect across the board. So I'm going to grab this and start to almost do it across the board. There we go. So it's just a question of just flattening, scraping, and just working with what I've got to sort of really see how nice that's already looking there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that across over here as well. Just start to, there we go, that's looking nice. Sometimes things just start to fall into place. Now I also want to make sure that when I do my eyes, that they're not too far apart. Not really, Michael Famaro. I haven't really seen much of that sort of stuff, but I wouldn't mind checking it out. I know that it's got its own cult following, that's for sure. Try switching from type chat to live chat. Yeah, yeah. Good point. I didn't realize that was a list. Live chat. There we go. All messages are visible. There we go. Yes, there. That works. That works. Thank you as well. I didn't know that. This is all new to me as well. Cool. So we got that going on. Now for the nose, I just want to make sure it's sort of matching that shape as well. It's looking a little bit flat at the bottom there. So what I'm going to do is grab this brush here. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and just lift up the corners of the nose here, bring that one down. Oh, it looks a bit not quite what I want. I think the nostrils are probably a bit too big. So I'm going to bring those in a little bit. Yeah, they're definitely too big for this shot. So let's go ahead and refine. Noses are also quite complicated to do and get right as well, especially if you want to get like a sort of aesthetic going on. But I can always refine this in the Retopo. Yeah, it's working now. I can see your comments. Oh, they're not popping up. That's weird. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be because, yeah, I'm not sure why that's not happening. Unless you're, no, you're on YouTube, not the multi-stream. So you're on YouTube. I have no idea why it's not popping up. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that not showing up on the stream. I don't even know how to fix that. Okay, so I made a mistake here where I've raised the nose a little bit too much. So now I need to squish it back down. All right, cool. And again, always having to refine the shape a little bit. All right. I think I'll keep that as is. All right, let's just go ahead and just fix up this part here. I want to get that little cliff in there, in the lip. Let's see what the thing is. Love your stream, Steve. Thank you, man. Yeah, well, I'm trying to be educational. I'll try to treat it almost like a real sort of educational sort of thing. And I'm actually going to talk about that in a bit more detail today with a video when I publish it, hopefully tonight. We'll see how I go. I have to record it again because I went a bit too it went a bit too ranty in the first take. So I'm going to refine my argument and then I'll publish it. I don't want to be too abrasive. All right, cool. So that nose shelf is looking a little bit too small now. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of mass. And I'll smooth that out. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Now you could say that the nose is a little bit long in that area, but I am still going with the reference in mind. So it actually adds to the character of this image as well, which I think is kind of cool. All right, cool. I kind of like that. Do I prefer modeling or sculpting characters? I kind of like to do a blend of both, but I like that when you sculpt, you get this moment where things kind of start to fall into place, which is really nice. You kind of don't get that with modeling from scratch. You kind of always have to be on the ball because every choice you make is kind of with that in mind, the final outcome. Whereas with sculpting, you can be a lot more flexible, and you kind of see it go from that weird alien looking thing to something really pretty. And you see it before your eyes as well, which is kind of cool. All right, that's looking pretty nice. Nice smooth transition there. So you got to be just mindful of all the little things. There we go. Now, I'm never going to get it as smooth as I would like. All right, just keep that in mind. And another thing I can do to make this feel a little bit more cohesive is that when I do the eyes, I can just rotate them a little bit this way. And that will sort of fit the contour a little bit better. All right, let's just go ahead and go to my subdivision and just add a little bit more subdivision there so I can just see what I'm doing. All right, cool. And that feels a lot better even in the shape there. Like it's actually contouring around the face. What's your favorite games? Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed. I love Assassin's Creed. I love Mass Effect. Age of Empires 2 is also awesome. And I love my city builder games. So when I say city builder, I mean like the old Impressions games. So Caesar, Pharaoh, those sort of stuff. I love that sort of stuff. Yeah, I played a lot of Knights of Honor 2. during the summer. Well, when I say summer, I'm talking about in February. That was such a fun game. Now that's looking pretty. That already, see how that by having that contour in there now, that's looking a lot nicer. It's like wrapping around the face a little bit. Hey Dick, I just want to say I've been really enjoying rewatching the streams. I'm glad you're actually catching. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Um, yeah, I'm planning on making this a much more common, like trying to make this into a viable thing. So if I can make this viable, like as in like earn some decent dosh off the YouTube side of stuff. Right now, I don't really earn that much from it. I want to turn this into like a proper outlet. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. That looks a lot. Just flicking that nose up suddenly makes that all come to play into play. All right. I think I'm gonna call it. I think I'm gonna call it for the sculpt. I'm gonna add the ears, and then I'll do a remesh, and then I think that will be it for the sculpt. Again, this is not meant to be like a production level sculpt anyway. I never do end up making a full on. A lot of the time, I don't really end up doing like a fully detailed sculpt anyway because I find it kind of redundant for what I do. My deadlines are usually so short that dealing with like skin skin details are just not worth my trouble. So yeah, I'm not planning on using these eyes specifically for the rig. So what I will do in the future is I'll replace these eyes with spherical eyes or add a lattice, and then the lattice will be rotated to compensate for that. I haven't played City Skylines. I'm not big on the modern city builders. I love the ancient stuff because I'm a bit of a history nerd. Side note, and I'll probably mention this in my video going in today, is like if I wasn't doing animation, I'd be doing archaeology. So that's where my passions lie outside of the animation space. I really want to fix this part up. Just get that little dip in there. All right, cool. I'll probably emphasize that through the topology as well. But I think that's looking pretty sweet. What do you guys think so far? Have you heard of the rookies contest? Yeah, I have. Again, I'm planning on you asking all the right questions, Emilian. You really are, because I'm gonna raise those up on my video again today, all about education and all about post high school education. So I'm in the boat. Like this is as a pre as a preamble, I guess you can say, going into tonight's upload. If I can get it uploaded tonight, I'll be very happy. I have to re-record it. As a preamble going into tonight's published video, it's all going to be about university and why. Like this is the thing that shits me the most about a lot of YouTube channels is that they keep spruiking the idea that um, you don't need to go to university to be in the industry. Now, although that's true, to say that you shouldn't go to university is very, in my opinion, incredibly damaging if you have the opportunity. So if you have the opportunity and you can, one, afford to do so, and you think it would benefit you in the future, then I recommend that a university education is always going to be useful. Um, Obviously, I understand that not everyone has those opportunities, but I think it's really important to say that you shouldn't abandon the idea if you have the opportunity. And there's lots of things to consider, and I'll talk about that in my video. Looks solid. Cheers, man. Yeah, you're scoring it, dude. You can disagree. That's the thing. Of course, you can disagree, but I'll state my case in my video going forward. Okay, cool. I might quickly add a little bit of Just flatten out this side of the skull. Add a little bit of detail here. Just sort of flatten that out there, because it'll match it'll match the side of the skull there. Yeah, I mean, like, there's always the case of which university you go to and if the quality is any good. For me, when I finished university, I thought that I didn't learn enough, obviously. And the thing is that with any kind of formal education, is that you need to make a judgment call on whether or not that is the case. But as I was getting older and as I was using more and more skills, I found that having all the stuff that I learned at university was applicable, absolutely all of it. And I would never I would never say that I regret doing it at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a mask for the neck as well. I'm just going to add that neck now. And, oops, come on, mask away. Where's my mask? Mask, mask, mask. Where's the mask? Box mask. Paint. Mask by color. Yeah, whatever. All right, just turn off that. Options. Where's the mask brush? Did they change that? They must have. Okay. Oh, there it is. My bad. Sick. All right. No, this is just for fun. I wanted to just do a fun live stream and talk things through because my friend made this sketch and I just thought, oh, that looked cool. She sent it through Snapchat and I was like, oh, that looks kind of sick. You mind if I sculpt it? And she said yes. I'm like, yeah, sweet. All right. I'm gonna invert that mask as well. Once I've done that, invert, and let's pull it. Boom. Sweet. And you can see here that there's a bunch of other stuff I need to sort of fix up. Snapchat in 2023, I know, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, I'll talk about that in detail as to why there are advantages and disadvantages to each case. All right, and I'll make it up to you. It's all up to you as to whether or not you think what I'm going to say is worthwhile. All right, let's remove the mask. Clear mask. All right. I will say this going forward though, a ultra high-end PC doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make it easier for you to become a great artist. Yeah, there's all kinds of caveats with anything in this world, and I would like to talk about it. Yeah, masks. I always forget they exist, but they're really good. All right, cool. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and add one last remesh, and then we can get into the retopo. I like the remesh because it sort of softens out details as well. Let's go with, it's going to be pretty high. Yeah, that works all right. I'm just going to save that before I do that, by the way. No, I haven't. Oh, I saw a few episodes. Yes. Yes, I have seen a few episodes. Pretty stupid and fun, but yeah, I've only seen a couple episodes. Yeah, yeah, yep. So, yeah, cool. So, which part? Okay, so you don't have subsidized learning in the where you live. We'll talk about that as well. Um, before I actually remesh this, I'm going to add the ears. So let's go to the asset manager. Sorry, sort of. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just going to bring in an ear. So these are from Blender, by the way. It's like the same ones from my previous video. So where's the ear? I thought we had an ear. I'm sure we did. Open blend file. Let's just do that first. Let's save this first. And open blend file. I thought we had a floating ear. Ah, I guess we don't. So I might just grab an ear from the female head here. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to the girl. Grab this one. Make local. Object, relations. Let's see. Make local. Did that work? Why didn't that work? Object, relations. Make local. Just do this one. Object and data. No, why aren't you working? Let's just delete that again. Try that again. No. Let's try that again. Object, relations. I hate when this happens sometimes. Ah, that's so annoying. ID data. Can anyone help me out here? I forgot how to do this. Oh gosh. Make local. That should work. Why is that not? There we go. Did it work? Am I adding just new meshes here and there? No. Let's hide this away just for a second. Object, relations, asset, mark as an asset, clear asset. Did that work? No. Okay, I don't know why it's not working, so I'm just gonna just import it. Fuck it. Blender assets. Let's go with head. Does that bring it in? Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. I have no idea why that didn't work, but we have this nice little ear that we can work with now. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and remove this part. Remove this part. Remove this part. And then faces. All right, cool. All right, sweet. So there we go. Let's bring up our face again. Yeah, that's what I thought too, but it wouldn't work. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Let's go to auto mirror, scale, apply, and then let's just go ahead and scale this, fit it in there. Surprising that works quite well. Yeah, well, library override should have worked, but it wasn't working. All right, cool. Sweet. I think that will be in the right spot. Let's just bring that into the right spot over here. Bring this over here. And what I'm going to do is just slide this in like that. And just try and get the right height on the ear as well, of course, the right size. And again, it doesn't really matter too much because it's not going to be showing. I think that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is apply the multi-res and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm going to join them. And then I will do a remesh. Let's remesh that now. And now we will get the right detail across the board. Oh, that's a bit too much. There we go. That will do. Now the reason why that's not quite working is because there's some non-manifold areas there. So I'm just going to push this in further. There we go. That should work a bit better. There we go. That's looking good. Am I using any anatomical reference? Not really, just the reference of the image. All right, cool. Apply that. And I'm just going to smooth out these details now. There we go. And that's looking pretty good. All right. Now, little things I could do to make this a little bit nicer. I could probably soften out the skull a little bit more, like smooth it out a little bit. Make sure it's a little less big on the back. So I might just do that quickly. Let's go ahead and do so. All right. Here we go. Yeah, it's always good to have anatomical reference. It just depends on what kind of character you're doing. So if you're doing like super stylized stuff, sometimes the anatomical reference kind of gets in the way because it doesn't allow you to break the rules when it comes to like creating interesting shapes. But it's good for like those basic sort of rules around shoulders and faces and stuff. I think that will work all right. There we go. Cool. And now let's just go ahead and just give her a little bit of a shoulder. So let's grab this part here. Oops. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a bust. Don't know what's going that direction, but all right, cool. I think that will do for what we need. Cool. All right. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty sweet. Now let's just quickly contour the head there. Let's give it a little bit more shape. Cool, cool, cool. All right. I think that we're ready to move on to some retopo. Now, I'll continue on this obviously tomorrow. If well, actually, let me know. Do you want me to continue with this tomorrow or not? Let me know in the comments. Do you want to see me actually do this process from start to finish tomorrow? Because Any book recommendations or resources on facial animation? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't actually know of any books that specifically talk about facial animation. Um, there's some basic information in Animation Survival Guide, which is like the go-to introduction to animation. But in terms of specifically facial animation, I don't think so. I can't really think of one right now. Sorry. Yeah, sweet. All right, I think I'm happy with this. I think we're happy with this to move on now. Okay. All right, cool. I think that will do. All right, here we go. I wonder if I can retopo this in about 20 minutes. If I can, then I will. Yeah, for sure. I'll be doing a lot more animation stuff going forward. That's for sure. All right. So we got that going on. Let's jump into Retopo. This is going to be my mesh. I'm going to give this snapping. I'm going to turn on in the settings now. We can actually close this. Sorry, just got to close this. Yep. I can turn on just this one here, like so. I'm going to turn on colors. So I'm going to give this a material and a color. And then I'm going to go to my settings here and go to edit mode and turn on Retopology. So now they have this nice overlay. Time it. All right, cool. So we got it's 10:56 at the moment. Let's try and do what I can. 10:56. Let's see how far I can go in 20 minutes. So by quarter past. All right. So I'm going to snap this with face project. My mirroring has clipping. Let's get going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting from the middle of the face. I always try to start from the middle of the face. And I'm going to turn on align rotation to target and project individual elements. Thank you. That looks a bit more functional. So there we go. There's our brow line. Let's do the hook of the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going right down to the top of the lip. This is a cool thing about snapping is that it just sort of follows the face nicely. What do you do with all the Blender files that you don't continue? You did just for fun. Do you delete them or do you save them or buy not? I generally just end up saving them just as just in cases. Like these sort of fun things, I'll put them up on my Dropbox and people can access them. And then I'll just probably delete them from my hard drive. But in terms of my own work, I definitely store what I can in my system. So what I'm trying to do here, and I talk about this in my videos, is keep a sort of parallel on the vertical of how many spans that my mouth will require to keep its shape. All right, cool. All right, cool. Let's get that up there. And I think that should be good enough for now for that area of the face. Now I'm using my mouse. All right, cool. Let's go into the eyes. So the eyes are going to be a little bit different here because the swoop of the eye will be kind of interesting to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do the mask like this, the eye mask, I guess you can say. I always do one at the corner. What do you think of the most when planning out the shots? I think about dynamism, composition, and continuity. So is the shot interesting enough to look at? Um, Composition, is it uh, like visually sound? Does it actually work as does it enhance the story basically? And then what was the other thing I said? And then just continuity, does it work with the previous shots and the shots going after them? So that's where I usually take it. That's how I break it down in my mind, at least. All right, cool. Let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Fill. All right, let's go ahead and extrude in. 1, 2, 3. Now the ears, I probably could just use the the geometry from the base mesh, but to keep it in line, I'll probably have to retopo it manually again. So you can see here that what I have is a break. So what I'll need to do is sort of break the geometry along the eyelid again, which is all right. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do to keep this from stretching, I'm going to delete this face and see what we can do here. So let's fill this up. Actually, I might have to, yeah, I know what I'm going to do. Let's split this in the middle. I'm going to have this, in this case, flow into the eyelid, like so. Into the eyebrow, sorry. So I want to keep that nice shape following through into the eyelid, eyebrow, sorry. 1, 2. All right, cool. So I'll end up having to have another pole here, which isn't a bad thing, all things considered. And another pole here, which could be annoying if I was to animate it, but that's okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. E. Another link here. And then let's see what we can do. Okay, I've done 4 minutes already. And we're tracking okay. All right. Now I could say that I'd probably have to refine this area here to get that shape that I want, but it's coming up all right. Here we go. Let's see what we can do here. We have to realign these to go this way. Possibly. Or I might just fake do a weird little inset here as well. Let's try that actually. Faces, inset. Possibly. We'll see how this one goes. I always say try to stay away from sculpting, but your videos made me want to try it. Thank you so much. Yeah, no worries. My pleasure. I'm glad they've been useful. Yeah, this will work. All right, cool. Yeah, I think I know what I need to do now. Yeah. Okay, I know what I need to do here. So basically, these will flow around as well. So what I'm going to do is break this, scale it down a little bit, take these and shift them down their respective areas. Just move those up. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do now. All right, so I got 10 minutes to do more of the face. Let's see what we can do. All right, let's break this one up as well. All right, cool. So these are just going to flow around the eye like so. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they're going to link up with this. At last, and then at last. So there'll be more geometry to flow into that, I reckon. But they just have to be nicely isolated, I guess you can say. Actually, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going to delete these then. And these are just going to keep on expanding outwards. Yeah, that will work. All right, let's just join them up again. It will work in the end. I think it'll be fine. So there's always a level of puzzle solving as you retopo something like this that, you know, is a little bit different to your average face structure. Oops, not fill. All right, let's just bring these around. And I'll have a thing terminating through the, yep, that works out well. All right, so grab these two, F, 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 F. All right, cool. Yes, Shift R to repeat. That is true. All right, so there we go. And yeah, there'll be a termination there. That works out. I think that will be fine. It's not going to be a triangle, but it will be a sort of quad termination. 1, 2. So we'll have to see whether or not that would create any wrinkles in animation, but we're not going to animate it, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. That works well. So let's turn on shrink wrap as well to see how we go. Yep. Yeah. Well, this is still a stylized character, so no eye bags are really necessary for this. And I'll do that in texturing if I were to actually do that properly. Cool. All right. Now for the nose and the face. So let's go ahead and add this shape going around the mouth. Like so. And terminate. There we go. Cool. So looking at the time, I'll probably get most of the face done, but not the internals of the ear, not the ears and stuff, most likely. But the overall shape of the face, I'll probably be able to get most of it sorted. All right, so for this, I'll need to calculate a few breaks. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to break here. And then that will travel up the face. So this is where, if I want to keep that, I'd have this going up on like this as well. So I'd actually define that in the face shape if I wanted to really emphasize that, which I might. I think it might be cool to do so. All right, cool. Not the most animation friendly curve, but you never know. Could work. All right, There we go. Join those. Oops, wrong one. And let's just go ahead and fill that. Oops. Cool. Do you do commissions? I want to buy a 3D model of an anime girl from a show. Not really. I don't do, not at the moment. I'm not open to commissions right now. And I don't really do fan art commissions either. So yeah, there's a whole mess of reasons for that. But basically, yeah, it's a lot of time and a lot of work to make these sort of things. And it basically have to pay the bills. So if I'm going to do any sort of contract work, it'll be for a studio at this time. All right, cool. So there we go. There's our first sort of set of loops. We've got 5 minutes to go. So let's go ahead and try and finish that up. Boop, 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 boop. Perfect. Boop, boop. Just what I need. Let's go ahead and fill that in. And fill in another loop here. One there. One there. Boom. Done. There's our loops. Looking pretty good, if you ask me. Pretty good. All right. I can add another loop here just to keep some structure there when I do go to smooth that out. And at this point, you're going to end up having 2 poles, one there and one there and one there, 3 poles, 1, 2, 3. So here, I'm going to go ahead and add some more geometry there once I link that up. At last, add some geometry there, and keeping that nice and symmetrical, I'll add some geometry there too, and one here. Cool. These will link up here, 1, 2, and travel to the back of the jaw, 1, 2, 1, 2, grid fill, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, grid fill. Am I doing all right? What do you think? Do you think are you surprised at how far we've gotten so far? Let me know. I'm pretty surprised. Oops. What did I do? Edit mode. Okay, there we go. Let's delete this face here and add some geometry there. Actually, I'll just delete this one. We can add geometry later. And then this one will travel up the face, I think. And there we go. All right, most of the face has been retopoed, to be fair. 1, 2, 3. We could probably merge these. No, for sure. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. And now face structure is complete. Something's happened there. Don't know why that happened, but it did. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks, man. I got like 2 more minutes to do majority of the cheek and the lips. That being said, that the lips are pretty much just extrusions inwards, so that would take 2 seconds. But we can finish this up tomorrow. And no, not a new character. This is just a piece of fun art that I'm just doing because my friend drew it and I thought it was look cool. But I'll be doing more actual film stuff tomorrow. Yeah, probably next week. All right, cool. I need to record some voiceover. All right, cool. And this can actually travel. If I split this, this can actually travel down here. Cool. 14. Not bad. I think I did all right for 10 minutes on retopoing a full face. I didn't get the whole face done, but I got pretty close in my opinion. All right. Cool. So now we got all this geometry here. So all I'm going to do is have these travel up the face and they'll join up. So these will merge and I'll smooth these out after the fact. Merge, merge. And I'm missing a line there, so merge that there. All right, grab all these. And let's just try to soften that out. There we go. Yeah, I probably would reuse the Retopology, to be fair. But I think I'll leave it at that. I'm pretty happy with that so far. I think that's looking pretty cool. And I've got this nice little cliff for the face. So what I would do here is I would probably add a sharp edge along this contour. So like this, mark edge crease, and that will give it a nice. So if I isolate that now and go to subdivision surface, you can see that I've got this nice cliff over here. And I'll do the same thing on this eyelid here. So I'll do one here as well, mark edge crease. And I'll just sort of line that up with the crease of the eye here. Edge creases are awesome in Blender, by the way. It's so useful. A nice way to add sharpness without adding to the geometry. So there we go. Looking pretty cool. All right. Almost got there, but I'm actually really happy with that face shape. That's looking really cool. I might actually keep on doing this when I'm offline. That being said, I will let you guys go. Thank you for joining. I hope you found this fun and informative. Look out for a video tonight. I will talk about universities, enrollments. I'm going to talk about alternative education as well, and why you might want to consider doing it outside of just YouTube videos. So yeah, look forward to that. Hopefully you'll find it useful. I'll try and be as understanding as possible, put it that way, about my opinions. Okay. All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. See ya.